Welcome to Art for Wellbeing. My name is Vicky and I'm going to be showing you today how to make these cute little sock gnomes. So here's a couple I've made previously, and what you'll need for this project is some plain rice, plain sock, preferably white or pink because that's going to be part of just his nose showing, a colourful sock which is going to be the gnome's outfit and hat. You'll also need some string, scissors, a glue gun and some ribbon, and any other little bit of Christmas bling that you'd like to add to it. For the gnome's beard I'm using some quite thick string. You could also use wool, or if you prefer you could cut out some fur fabric. So I've got a cup here. So to start with, I'm going to fill my cup with some rice. One of these small packets will easily do, it's a 1 kilogram packet, but will easily do at least 2 gnomes. So I'm going to use the toe part of the sock to actually be the body of the gnome, and I'm just going to cut it just above the heel. And I'm going to discard that piece. Now I'm going to open the sock and put it over the cup so I can easily fill the sock. So depending on how chubby you want your gnome, you can obviously fill more rice in it. So I'm just sort of squishing it down so I can stretch the fabric. I'm just going to fill a little bit more. Shake it down a bit. Shake it down a bit more. So at this stage it's quite handy to have a peg or a clip or something just to hold the top shut, just so you can make sure you've got the right amount of rice in your gnome. You also need to be able to pinch out a nose just at the front there, so you need to make sure there's enough stuffing so he's quite sturdy and he'll stand up quite well. So I'm just going to give that another little shake. If you shake it down you can get a little bit more room up the top to add a bit more rice, so I'm just going to add a little bit more here. Oops, hopefully without spilling it. I think that's a bit better. So I'm just going to clip that on the top there just to hold it in place. This is like a sports sock, so it's got like a natural sort of tight bit here, so it kind of produces quite a nice shape for the body and where the head's going to be. But it doesn't really matter what sort of sock you use, because each sock you use will give your gnome a slightly different character, so that's totally fine. Just going to cut some string now. I'm just going to tie that around the top so to stop the rice escaping. This is where the clip comes in handy, or another pair of hands. So I'm going to try and do that really tight. So obviously I don't want it bursting open. Let's take the clip off. I'm just going to wrap it around a couple of times just to really make sure that's nice and secure. Do another couple of double knots. All this bit will be hidden under the hat, so it's totally fine to, it doesn't matter if it looks a little bit scruffy. So I'm just going to snip the excess string off. And there we have our body. Now if you do have a glue gun, you could just put a little bit of glue around here just to secure that bit down, then it also will make it a bit more less likely to leak any rice out if it's handled or played with by little people. So I'm just going to pinch that there. And now I'm just going to find another piece of string. So this time I'm going to form the nose. So depending how big a nose you want your gnome to have, I might do a really big one this time. You just need to get some string and fairly near the top, because with this gnome you're not going to see any of his face apart from his nose and his beard, so you don't have to worry about leaving any sort of flesh for his face, as it were. You literally just need to pinch a decent bit of rice in there, and it's obviously quite fiddly. I'm just going to wrap that around a couple of times, and then I'm going to tie it. Okay, so tied that quite nice and tight. So it's got a nice round nose. So I'm just going to trim those excess threads off. Discard those. Right, so you might want to just plump it, reshape him a little bit. Right, now for the clothing. So for the clothing I'm using a smaller sock. This is a lady's sock, where this was a man's sock. It doesn't really matter what size you use. They will all turn out slightly different. So this time I'm just going to cut above the heel. So this piece is going to be his outfit, and this piece will be his hat. So I'm going to use the ridged bit of the sock, which for the bottom of his hat, and the top bit I'm going to tie a little ribbon. You could also like put a bell on it, or a little pom-pom. This one I put a bit of tinsel and a bauble. This one I just put a bit of ribbon on. So you can decorate that however you want to. You could also make a lady gnome as well. So rather than having a beard around the front, you could put some hair around the back, like long white hair. So you could have like a lady gnome. So I'm just going to dress my gnome now. So I'm literally just going to put the sock on. There we go. So the heel bit will actually go up over their head, so it kind of looks like he's in a little sleeping bag. But gives your gnome a nice sort of finish to it, so there's no fraying pieces. Here you could also stitch that on if you wanted to, or I'm just going to put a little bit of dab of glue there just to keep that in place. Okay, so now for the hat. Now for the hat, I'm just going to place it on his head just for now. I'm not going to stick it down yet. I just want to see what that looks like. So I'm going to just get a little bit of ribbon. Just going to tie that around here. Again, you could use anything for this really. You could use a piece of tinsel, a bit of decorative Christmas ribbon, anything you see fit really. Or you could sew a pom-pom on, or a little jingly bell, or at least a piece of holly, or whatever really. So I've just done a nice little bow. Now, just as a little bit of extra for this, I'm just going to put a little bit of stuffing in his hat, just to give it a little bit more body. And now I'm just going to stretch that over the top, making sure it's right kind of right down over his nose. So, now for the beard, I'm just going to pull the clothing down a little bit, and I'm going to use the hot glue gun here again. You could also stitch this if you wanted to, if you preferred, just with like an over stitch. So I'm going to put a nice bit of glue under his nose, just a little line. And I'm just going to carefully place the beard. I'm using one of these instead of my fingers just to stick it down, because the glue obviously can burn you. Even the warm melt ones can be quite hot. So obviously if you're doing this with little ones, you need to supervise the glue gunning. So I'm working quite quickly just to ensure those bits of string are sticking. Okay, so I've got one layer, so I might just do another layer just so his beard's a bit thicker. A little bit of glue under his nose again, and another layer of the string. Needs a little bit more that side. We can just carefully just make sure that's stuck down and it's tucked under his nose. There you go. Oops, his hat's fallen off. So the hat's not stuck on yet. So first of all, making sure the beard's in the right place. nicely stuck down. And now I'm just going to do a little circle above his nose and just round his head, because that's where I'm going to, oops, stick down his hat. So I'm just going to stretch that over, make sure that's snug around his nose. And there's no like frayed bits showing. And there you have him, your nice little family of gnomes. And if you want to, with the nose, to make it more flesh colour, you could use a pink pastel or a pink watercolour, or you could use a bit of blusher or eyeshadow or something like that, just to give him a little bit of a rosy glow to his nose. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I really look forward to seeing your versions. So if you make any, please share them with the group. On the Moodle we have a gallery, so you can either send them to me and I can put them on the gallery for you, or we can, if you can upload them yourself, then that's great. We can also share them on the Family Learning Facebook page, so if you have access to that, it'd be really great to see your versions of your little Christmas gnomes. So thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.